Good morning. My name is Ivan. Sorry, I'm not a native language speaker. I hope I will entertain you with my English, however bad it can be. And today I was asked to say something about how England works as a country and as a society a little bit, and to tell you some funny stories about how English people live. So have you ever been to England before? Silence means yes or silence means no?
And you?
No, okay. So if I understood, talking to your professors, talking to lecturers and teachers, it's very, a lot of people are quite interested and quite keen to know how life in England generally is. For example, how people live in their houses, how people just work, how people operate as human beings, and they'll probably start saying about how in England how people just generally live. For example, in Russia, most of the people sooner or later have their own flats or house. Most of the people in Russia live in flats. In England, people don't live in flats. Most of the people live in houses, and that's one of the striking differences. Even if somebody doesn't have money to buy a big house, they rent it, or they rent a room in a house and they live with other people, like, for example, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson lived in Baker Street in a shared house with Mrs. Hudson at the home until they were very old. This is considered to be absolutely normal. There's absolutely nothing bad about it. For example, even people who are well off in terms of television, in terms of money, it's absolutely not shameful for them to rent a room in a house because they may just like people around. And how this renting works, it's a very interesting also practice. You cannot just go to the estate agency and say, I want to have a room in a house. No, you have to first contact the people who live there, and then you have to pass a very tough casting, like as if you are an actor being looked at by a director to be employed in film. People look at you, how you're dressed, people start asking questions, what do you do? Do you like party, or do you like to stay at home and study all the time? Are you boring, or are you actually hungry? So this is a very tough thing. You have to pass the test to be able to move into the house. And once you move into the house, it's very cool. Most of the people whom you live with remain friends. And other things which people from Russia and people from Western Europe find surprising is that people don't not only live in houses. For example, people may get together, like me, you, somebody who wants to share space, especially in London, which is very busy with people. And they may rent a part of a factory, for example, or a warehouse, move in and then convert it into a livable space. Make basically a house out of a factory hall. This is a very interesting place to live. I lived for half a year once in a flat which was converted from a factory building. Huge ceilings, windows, very interesting arrangement of space. Old industrial things all around the place, big and very successful. But what else is interesting? A lot of people from Russia is surprised how in England people are dressed. And here, for example, I am dressed not normally, not in the normal way I'm dressed when I teach in the языке. Much more liberal. People don't pay attention that much to the way what they put on and to the way they look. It's an absolute. I don't think such item of a household as iron exists in a lot of English families. And it is absolutely normal. People just don't iron things, they just take whatever they have and wardrobe, put on, and go, and walk. So it's absolutely normal. I haven't been teaching in Russian universities since 2003 or 2002. It's quite a long time ago. So I absolutely forgot how the system looks here. So I was pretty shocked, maybe not in a good way, to see that you're actually not allowed to have an overcoat on you in the building, and that you have to take it off. In England, that would be absolutely unthinkable. That somebody can tell you what to wear and how to wear and what not to wear. So, and if you see how universities and how students are dressed and how professors are dressed, you will be pretty surprised. For example, in my university, there are a lot of people who cycle on a bicycle from home to work and back. And you can see a very respectable professor sweating his way out in his absolutely sporty uniform, flashing green jacket, very cool cycling shoes, running to his lecture inside of the building because he was late for it. And it's absolutely normal for even professors to look not cool, so to say. In Russia, we have clothes we wear during the summer. We have clothes we wear during the winter, for example, and they're different, right? We do have, especially girls, that have special wardrobes probably for winter clothes, and especially probably 2 wardrobes, 5 wardrobes, I don't know how many do you have, and then separate wardrobes for summer clothes. In England, there is no difference between summer clothes and winter clothes. All the time, people in England wear the same things. It may be plus 20, it may be minus 10. That's how temperature drops, maximum. But they will still kind of bravely wear same things they have. You may see that it may be snow, it may be wind, it may be cold, windy, but you can see people in flip-flops in Vietnam here. A person may wear a coat, but you can see a lot of girls with absolutely killing miniskirts, shorts, open shoulders, and it's -5. It's even cold for me. I'm used to it now. It was even cold to me. For me, it was even cold just to see that, not only kind of imagine how they may feel. And it's absolutely normal that they do not have such thing as like, okay, it's winter, then we have to wear something warm. No, they just don't care. They wear the same things. And I kept on asking people, aren't you cold? Well, probably, unfortunately, I had friends who were skinny, probably as skinny as me, slim, and they said, well, bones don't freeze, bones don't feel anything, why care? And so that was their reply, English humor. They also don't change when they go in the house and when they go out of the house. They don't take off the shoes, and I don't take off the shoes as well, already. So you enter the house, you can absolutely legitimately throw yourself onto the sofa, have a nap, having your boots on. You enter someone's house for a party, everybody is wearing the same things as they were wearing outside. So there is no, this is a cultural thing, because in Russia, all houses, especially village houses, there was a special kind of ritual of getting through the space. Getting from outside was considered as evil, nature house, the inside of the house was something which was home and it was defended. So in Russia, changing while entering the house was a kind of cultural thing. In England, house is not as a kind of castle, your own home, as it is in Russia. In Russia, we love iron doors, for example, bars to protect our private space. In England, you can live in a house which is like 17th century old, which is like a masterpiece in itself. And you can have a door with cracks like this, which it's a very symbolic door. You can just knock it slightly and it will fall. So everybody technically could get in if somebody wanted, but people don't care. They just don't consider that it's polite or that it is a part of their culture to have this barricaded door. battleship Potemkin style of entrance. And so this is because also in Russia people mostly live inside, not because it's cold. Maybe it started because it was cold supposedly outside during the winter, but street is considered as a space to get rid of, a space to pass and to forget. When you meet people, it's rarely when you meet them on the street and when you spend a lot of time with them on the street. You just go from place A to place B, meet there, go to place C, for example, cafe or something. In England and in Europe generally, the street, especially street in cities, streets in towns, are absolutely kind of valid spaces of living. People spend a lot of time sitting in cafes, just hanging around in the street, sitting on a pavement, for example, if they're okay, lying in the parks, reading or sleeping on the grass, it doesn't bother anybody. If I would probably now go and sit on the street like a lot of people sitting in London, for example, and other English towns, I would at least be considered as slightly, and it wouldn't surprise anybody in England. It's absolutely okay. If you feel tired, just sit your butt on the pavement and have rest. Absolutely fine. Even though the pavement may not be clean, but as I told you, people don't really care about how their clothes look like. So a lot of people are quite surprised to see how much time people spend outside and how easy it is for them to go in and out. Also in English houses, most of the English houses have gardens. It's not just a kind of private house, частный дом in Russian, but it's like even in towns, in the very center of London, most of the houses owned by family have a garden on the backyard. So you enter the house, you pass through the entire house, through the kitchen, and then you get into the garden. So kind of this open space is even present inside of the household, inside of the home. So people constantly move in and out, not like, I guess probably they would be really, really annoyed doing it in the Russian way, taking shoes on, off, and so on. So that's how it is, how it's. Well, the funny thing about England, everybody notices it immediately when they go first time visit England, is that when you enter the bathroom, a lot of people come back now sort of like, what's that? And that is 2 taps. We have one, cold water, hot water. We want it a little bit colder, put more cold water. You want it a little bit warmer, you put warm water. They have 2. One for incredibly hot water, the other one for incredibly cold one. So foreigners, when they see it first time, when they want to wash their face in the morning, do like this. It's very annoying and it doesn't work. You burn yourself or you get frozen anyway. And then an English friend of mine saw it and was like, aha, this thing is a lid to close the hole in the sink. You close the hole in the sink and then you mix the water in the sink. But well, obviously, we Russians, we don't take things so easy. No, we'll do like this. Or there was a Russian invention, I saw it in one of the student accommodations in one of the universities, a plastic bottle. 2 holes, 1 hole. So it worked. Electricity, for example, we all have central heating, so to say. Central, we don't really care where it comes from. We just know that sometimes, from time to time, our radiators are hot, which is great. In England, you have to arrange everything by yourself. You move into the house, it's cold, nothing works. You have to find companies, you have to phone them, you have to arrange how much money you're going to pay and so on. Same with electricity, same with gas, if there's gas. And once I was at a friend's place who lived in one of those converted factories in London. I ended up having to wait for her. And suddenly electricity just stopped working, everything went dark. where are this board? We all know that if electricity goes down, something is wrong with this rope here. So I started to look, there was nowhere to be found. But then she came, you didn't put the coin. And that's the thing. In some of the old houses, electricity works on coins. You put a coin, it works for 4 hours. You're out of coins, bad luck. You only have paper money, sit in the darkness. It will not start, whatever you do with it. It's a very, very interesting system. So, also, heating. There is no such thing as central heating in the UK. Every house has its own boiler. And you put heating the way you want or the way you don't want. It's very expensive in the UK. There are no kind of subsidies to the electricity thing. So a lot of people are greedy, so they don't want to pay. What they do is like they heat the house for 2 hours before they go to bed, and then they leave it cold for the rest of the day. I come from Krasnodar, it's very hot in there, and I really don't like cold. So every time I'm inside of someone's house who is really trying to save money, I have to put a hat and a scarf on when I go in, because I'm not gonna move in there. I'm just gonna stand, for example. While on the street I can go to the cafe, to the pub. There, the temperature is exactly the same as outside, and it's maybe pretty chilly. Okay, probably one of the greatest inventions of English culture, pubs. You probably saw them on telly. They are very, very different from the cafes and things we used to hear. In the cafe, what do? Enter, you sit, you wait for the waitress, she comes, she gives you a list of things, you sit on a separate table, then you eat, you drink, you talk to your friends, things like that. Pub, no way. You can sit there for 20 hours, nobody is going to bother about you. You have to go to the bar, and you have to speak to the barman and ask, I want this beer, for example. You have to explain yourself, you have to kind of express yourself. The problem, if it is Friday night, for example, 10 o'clock in the evening, maybe quite a lot of people with the same intentions as you to have a pint. And they all maybe will have to be around the bar. In England, it's absolutely not, it's nearly a criminal offense to touch a person if he doesn't want to be touched. So there are very little fights going on. You see people who want to have a fight who are just screaming at each other on that distance, but they don't touch each other. But it is perfectly legitimate to be pretty touchy in a pub if you want to drink. So you do have to push your way through, even if you are a lady, or even if you are a guy and the ladies want to have their cocktails. You do have to. You can see plenty of interesting situations when there is a pub in a city in London, where all the bankers, all the business people work. They go in the evening, and then you see this very expensively dressed, probably high-profile banker trying to get his way to the bar through the much lower class people, much lower ranked people to get his drink. Again, in a pub, in Russia and many other European countries, it's not really that common when you start speaking with people you don't know in a cafe, unless you're really sociable. But most people pubs exist specifically for this purpose, that you meet and talk to unknown strangers. And it is absolutely fine. I mean, it is impossible not to have a conversation in a pub. About everything, about football, about politics, about music, about the area, and mostly in pubs, people love you, wherever you are. So you enter, and a couple of guys are bored, sit there, probably don't have friends. That's what I thought in the beginning. What a mecca for miserable, lonely people. If they sit there on their own, drink beer, and but no, it's part of the culture. They just don't want to drink at home, for example, or spend time at home. They go to a pub. Pub also is a place where people read newspapers, for example. Pubs subscribe to newspapers. Very often they have a special stand where they have fresh collection of fresh newspapers. You go, you get a newspaper, you take a find if somebody wants to talk, somebody talks to you. If you want to talk, you talk to the people. It's a very important element of English life. For example, my colleagues from your university, from your institute, had their jaws dropped when I told them that each university area, each university campus has at least 3 pubs on its territory. And it's perfectly normal that students go and have a beer with the professor after the lectures. It's absolutely legitimate to have a pint even before the lectures if you're kind of sure that you can do it after. It's not a crime whatsoever, and it's a very significant part of the culture. So how people communicate with each other in England, politeness is brought to the degree of absolute mania, of absolute paranoia. People are paranoically polite. If I step on someone's foot in a bus, for example, or in an underground train, in Krasnodar, probably I would have a shout at me. You are, or maybe in Russia and many other places. In England, the person whose foot I would step onto would apologize. Oh, sorry. You may very often find situations where there's a crisscross of the road, there are 2 cars standing, and each of them is trying for 5 minutes more, only after no. Unthinkable for a Russian mind, probably. You can also see it in an elevator, in the lift, for example, in a big house. People cannot get in or out because they want the other ones to get first. No. Just get out. Mostly they smile. In England, people smile for whether there is a reason or not, or there is no reason. But it's not this American 3 teeth smile. It's a very polite and nice. They're always happy to see you, so to say. Not as happy as Italians would kiss you for being but they're very. If you encounter someone, if you start talking to someone, it means that the person by default is up for it. Is very keen and open to this conversation. It's very rare where if you ask somebody to do like this, no, they don't do it. They just, even if they don't know, even if they can't help you, they will speak to you, they will talk. Oh, sorry, they will apologize 10 million times that they don't know, but they will enter a conversation with you and they will talk to you and they will try to be as nice as they can. So it's very kind of inclusive culture. And it's very kind of easy to live for people who it's kind of very nice to people, so people enjoy it. And the main rule of life in England is probably, this song, this phrase from some of the rock songs, live and let die. Guns N' Roses recorded it years ago, I think it's Bob Dylan's original version. But it's actually a paraphrase of an English rule of life, live and let live. Nobody cares about you, they are absolutely sincere what you do. As long as what you do does not make others unhappy. For example, in the UK, people are not obliged to have passports. English person who is born in the United Kingdom can live and die without having a passport. Without having any documents. Birth certificate is enough. Driving license, okay, if I don't drive, if I cycle, bad luck, I don't have documents. And it's absolutely, it's technically normal. A lot of people travel, so therefore they must have passports. But if they would not like to travel, they can live without any relationships to the state. They don't need to register anywhere. Obviously such thing as like registration of place of living does not exist even for me. When I move from town to town, I don't inform anybody, nobody is interested. And when I move into the house, I don't sign any paper, for example, if I move into the shared house. If people like me, fine. That's the power of a word. Kind of slogan. So it's very, very informal. culture. A lot of people find it really, really strange to realize that basically there's very little papers you need to sign in your entire life. For instance, interaction with the police, for example, with the state. So, again, brought down to a very nice level that, for example, in the house where I lived, previous tenant, the person who lived there before, didn't pay something. And so his bank complained to a special agency, which then tried to find him and get his money. Debt collectors agency. They're not criminals. They look like criminals, but it's actually legitimate guys who go find people who don't pay their bills, for example, and try to arrange their payments. So they come with the police to our house, knock on the door, I open the door, police. Oh, nice. And then they see, again, 20 apologies. We sincerely for interrupting you, you might be asleep or something. It was morning, 10 o'clock, and I was asleep, but it was okay. We definitely see that it's not you. Yeah, nice. Okay, it's not me, it's nice to hear from you, it's like always nice to hear from you. Because we're looking for some guy with a Chinese name. But we had to check, sorry for interrupting, we just had to check if he's here. Now he moved out. Apologies and left. I never saw them again. So it's very kind of informal and nice. What about the food? Probably some people ask me what English people eat. There is a proverb in Europe that what is European paradise is an Italian cook and English policeman. And what is the European hell is the other way around. It's an Italian policeman, corrupt mafia, and English cook, English chef. English traditional food is nearly impossible to eat for anybody who is not English. The most popular English traditional food is so-called fish and chips. It's grilled sea white fish, very fat, with a lot of grease dropping out of it, and fries, French fries, and that's it. No salads, no sauce, nothing. I asked what, it's too dry. I can't really stuck it into my mouth. It's stuck somewhere in my throat. It doesn't go through. But have a point. Go and buy beer. That's what it is made for. So, and as I said, anytime, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, it's okay to have time. So, the other thing which surprises people is the whole English breakfast. It's even more hardcore trash food. So, baked beans, white beans and tomato sauce, fried bacon, fried egg, everything is fried in oil, fried mushrooms, and a thing, it's called brownie. Brownie is a round thing which looks like a rotten apple, or like a piece of soil. It doesn't look like food, but they eat it. I eat only half of this English breakfast, but when it comes to those things which look like a piece of earth, a piece of chernozem, I refuse to recognize it as delicious food. Tea rooms. A lot of people in England also has this tradition of which you probably read a lot about tea rooms, where people just go and drink tea and eat cakes. There are not that many anymore, but these are exact opposites of the pubs. If you enter and you go to the bar, you will be told to sit and wait. And then nice looking Ukrainian would come and ask her, "Good morning, love, what do you want?" They very often use word love when they call somebody. Come on, love. Come on, baby. Taxi driver, for example. Well, it doesn't mean that they love you. I was confused first. I only know this goes about 5 minutes, and she already calls me love. It's actually the legitimate way of just polite way of talking to people. So yeah, if you're ever in England, don't try to go to an English restaurant because English restaurants do not exist for that reason. In England, people mostly go to restaurants, and there are Italian restaurants, Indian restaurants, Chinese, any type, but the very concept of English restaurant is absent because of the simplicity of the food. So, what else can I say? Maybe you ask questions. What would you like to hear about? Hmm? Oh, nightlife. Do you want to hear about nightlife in the UK? How people go clubbing, for example. It's extremely vibrant in every little place. I mean, probably in the town, which is the size of Yelapoga, there will be at least 10 different nightclubs, at least, of different styles. There will be one for 14, 16, 17 school kids listening to some sort of X Factor pop stars. There will be one for growing, big, fat, hairy men with leather jackets listening to hard rock and all music, bikers and things like that. There will be 2 or 3 for like alternative dance scene, which would attract students and the people of the same age. And there will be probably one for pensioners who listen to old jazz and swing things. And they could still do it like at night or in the evening. So nightclubs attract people not only because they provide entertainment, but also because they provide drinks at night. Because in England there is a law that you're not allowed to sell alcohol after 11 o'clock in the evening. So 11 o'clock, bang bang in the pub, glass beer, bad luck if you don't have it. Yeah, that's how most of the people from the outside, when they come to the nightclub, and the first thing that the people who are there forgot to get dressed. They have so little on them. It's like that people even from Europe, from all European countries, Germany, France, they like. But for England, it's okay. People don't really care about the way they're dressed, and they kind of enjoy themselves in that way. There are many clubs which you cannot get in, which are so popular that you cannot get in if you just want. You have to book a place, or you have to stand in a long queue. And yeah, so if you want to go and listen to some music, if you are in the UK, you have to think about this in advance. Concerts of live bands are extremely popular. Festivals are extremely popular. For example, if big bands such as Rolling Stones, everybody goes there even if they don't like particular music because it's a place to see people and it's very, very cool. I think big bands like Rolling Stones or Radiohead give concert tickets for like, 20,000 people venue are sold within 15 minutes. They put it on the internet, in 15 minutes they're all gone. Because if you can't make it, bad luck, you're not there, you can't get in. So a lot of young people spend a lot of time in the festival every summer. During the summer, starting from May till probably September, there is a festival at least every week, if not like several festivals. The biggest of course, is Glastonbury, probably Glasgow is the biggest festival, open air festival in the world. They have 40 stages, 40, you can imagine that for a week there are 40 stages which play live music, and the very area where Glastonbury takes place occupies like about 10 miles long, so you cannot walk from one corner of the festival to another, it's too far away. And you pay substantial amount of money, usually you pay like £300, and go there with a tent, with your food, with your drinks, and live there for a week and just enjoy the music. So that's approximately how people, music is everywhere in England. Obviously it's kind of one of the motherlands of rock music, and bands such as the Beatles, Rolling Stones, and most of the bands we hear actually come from the UK. if you enter into a pub or club, it's very likely that you will go after 10 or 11 o'clock in the evening there will be some live music playing. So whether you like it or not, it's different from the music which is played in Russian cafes. Very much different. It's mostly indie or kind of Bob Dylan type music. A guy with a guitar sings about some probably Irish peasant or something. But it's nice. So be prepared to do that. So that's what approximately I wanted in general to say. But please ask. I mean, it's very difficult for me to say things about England without any questions, because to me they're absolutely normal and I don't know what you want to hear about.
What about football in England?
Football, yeah, it's absolutely the sickness, the disease. You must love football. Even if you are a girl. Because you may end up in the wrong pub, for example. Because in London there is a rivalry between derby teams from the same town, for example. And there is a pub which supports Arsenal, and there is a pub next door to it, there is a pub which supports Tottenham. And if you're in the wrong t-shirt in the wrong pub, you are in trouble. So, well, it's football is a religion in England. People stop working when there is a match. People go to see it in the park. I mean, football excuses a lot of things, absolutely. And so, you must have also a team to support. If you say that you don't support anybody, people may not talk to you anymore. You have to argue why do you support this team, for example. If you support Arsenal because in Arsenal there's a lot of international players, or you support Manchester City because it's a town of it's a team of kind of working class people from Manchester and things like that. So yeah, football is a very serious thing in the UK.
Is it easy to be a student in Britain?
Yes. It's very easy and it's very interesting because it's very international background. Student life is very international. You don't have to talk to English people. About 50% of all students in the UK come from different countries. 50 to 30. And you do have to work though, because you have to pay for your education. But it's very interesting and inspiring time of life for young people in the UK. Usually they study less than us here in Russia, but they do a lot of. I already said it in Russian in my first lecture, but they have more homework, less classwork, and it's more kind of about individual work rather than me talking to you like a lecturer, something like that.
What about learning English for foreigners, I mean, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
How do they manage to do it well? Do they have a lot of listening phonetics as we do usually with our students here?
You mean foreigners learning English?
Yeah.
No, practice. Very little grammar, a lot of talking, a lot of active exercises, things like that. Коллеги, можно мне вас оставить на 15 минут? Через 15 минут я еще подойду. Хорошо?
Have a question?
Yes.
So it might be a personal question, but I still would like to ask it. So now that you've spent about 10 years in the United Kingdom, right? So do you still feel the interference of your first culture, or your first language? If you do, then how...
Difference what?
I mean, the interference of your first language, your first culture.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm Russian. I don't disguise it, even in the UK. Well, as I was told by many of my friends, Ivan, you have such a stereotypical Russian face and such a stereotypical Russian name that it's absolutely useless for you to pretend to be English or something. You will fail. Obviously, I don't even try to pretend that I'm kind of English or something. I'm absolutely Russian in most of my attitudes to life. I want people, my English people, that they will have to cope with it. That I will not behave as an English person in many aspects.
Which
Like-
language do you think, by the way?
Interesting question. I'm both, if you can believe it. When I imagine a person whom I'm speaking, for example, and this person is Russian, I speak Russian. Or when I'm thinking about something I got to know first in Russian, for example, I watched a film which was in Russian, or I listened to music which was in Russian, or I read a book which was in Russian, or about a situation which happened with Russian language around, then I think in Russian. But when I think about or around something which happened where language, the most spoken language was English, then I think in English. Or about some things which, in certain things it's easier to speak or to think in one language than the other one. For example, English language is much more concise. Words are short, and the sentences are pretty kind of clear. It's easier kind of to nail down certain things in English rather than to have a long Russian phrase with very beautiful words with a lot of vowels and all these things. So sometimes in English, sometimes in Russian. Well, sometimes in other languages as well, but not as much as in Russian or English.
So did you mean that in some situations it might be more comfortable to think in Russian and in other situations in English?
Yeah, well, to me, I don't really record moments where I think in Russian or in English, so I cannot really tell you exactly how it works. But in the beginning, I thought in Russian, obviously, mostly. But when kind of English became, well, fluent, I can say, I have to say I still cannot write academic texts without native speaker next to me, for instance, or native speaker checking me, because it's a bit of a different language. You have to write in a particular way. They say that English language kind of is very analytical, so to say. So it's very easy to construct phrases, but there are a lot of nuances with the way you use certain phrases and the way you use certain words, which only native speaker can, or educated native speaker can feel. I don't feel them yet. I'm absolutely, well, have absolutely no problem speaking kind of English like this or working on it as a working language, but when it comes to writing text of high cultural value, still need someone to correct me. But it's all foreign, it's all non-native speakers, most of them have this problem. Especially when it comes to articles, I'm still guessing most of the time where I have to put definite, or where I have to put indefinite articles. I don't know how they work. I don't analyze the phrase, and I don't know why I have to put here, there, but not a, for instance. Because we don't have, obviously, this nightmare. We don't have this in Russian, so we don't have this, a department in our linguistic brains to deal with these horrible things. So, yeah.
Yes, what about Islam in United Kingdom?
Good question. As you know, the United Kingdom has a very large minority of people from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, which are predominantly Muslim countries. Well, Pakistan is absolutely Muslim. Bangladesh, I think, is predominantly completely. Most of the Indian people you see in England, they actually don't come from India. They either come from Pakistan, Bangladesh, or from from Africa. Surprise, surprise. Because when African countries became independent, the local tribes started to treat Indian, there were a lot of Indian diaspora there as well. Local tribes started to treat all non-tribal people quite badly, so they all fled to England, most of them. As you probably know, England did have a problem with militant Islam back in the 2000s. There was a couple of violent terror acts in the London Underground, and there were bombings of London buses. And recently there was a murder of English soldier in London committed by two Nigerian fundamentalists with a knife, very brutal murder in bright daylight. They waited when he was going home from his service and killed him with a machete knife in front of the campus. But that's very extreme and very rare cases. In most, absolute majority of British Muslims, absolute majority of British Muslims are very liberal, so to say. I don't know much. This is my first time I'm in Tatarstan, so I don't know much about them. Well, I know, I hope, but maybe I may be wrong, but you may correct me. To me, it looks very much like Islam in Tatarstan. It's kind of, if it is possible to say, it's secular. So people don't really make a fuss about it in England. It's a private matter. Yes, they do wear a lot of, some people from Pakistan do wear special clothes, especially women, but it does not prevent them from being, well, it does not exclude them from the society. You can see a perfectly legitimate border agent, pogranichnik, a nice, cute Pakistani woman with a full scarf, or face obviously open, but with a uniform and a scarf. Plus, for example, if you know, there was a very kind of Muslim community is very active in the scene of Indian ethnic music in the UK. They have special channels for it which show this kind of endless amount, incredible amount of Indian films. I think in India there are more films produced than in the rest of the world taken together, Bollywood so-called. So they have special TV channels of Bollywood films, and interesting enough, about 10 years ago there was a very kind of hit band that really kind of shook the scene, Asian Dub Foundation, for example. These are Muslim youth from London playing a very edgy, a very interesting youth, pretty heavy, socially engaged dub punk, so to say. It's a kind of dance music, but very heavy dance music, but at the same time it can be played in a festival alongside the rock bands, and it's performed by Muslim Indian guys from London. So there are quite visually you can see a lot of mosques there in England, which surprises a lot of people who come to see old good England, but actually because there are quite a lot of Muslim people there, visually Islam is quite present as well. Each town has at least one mosque, I think, and people are absolutely okay with it. Well, England is a very tolerant country, so it's very difficult to imagine an English racist, for example, for me. It just doesn't come across my mind that easily if I try to imagine English racist. Yes?
What is your interpretation of the phrase "to keep an upper lip stiff"?
An upper lip.
Keep an upper lip.
To work hard. To work hard.
Not to show emotions in this meaning. To keep an upper lip stiff.
Yeah, I understand. Yes. Never.
Never.
No. Well, I came across this kind of lip thing because obviously when I speak like Russian person. Russian people articulate language here in the throat, mostly. Language comes from inside. English people, I cannot even do that probably. They articulate language by their lips. So that's why every English language is much higher in terms of pitch. When even men speak, sometimes I think, what is this guy? Why do they speak like this, sing like I don't know, opera singers or something like that? When Russian guys speak, we speak like Russian people. When English speak, they have a very kind of high voice usually. That's because they don't speak with the throat, they speak with the mouth and they speak with their lips. And for me it was difficult because I don't have muscles trained well enough there to operate with my lips in the way, so that's why. And that's one of the things they teach, especially there's a big problem with Chinese guys, with Chinese people, because they also speak from I don't know where, but not from lips. Plus they have problems with pronouncing certain sounds. They cannot pronounce half of the consonants in England. They just kind of have this and then for English teachers, they just they speak with your lips, speak with your lips, speak with your lips. So about English language, probably English people, as you probably know, in Europe are the least polyglots. They know least the foreign languages of all the other European countries. And I was asking why you don't kind of know foreign languages? I said because we were not taught grammar at school. English students, English pupils do not know grammar of English language. Absolutely. They don't know how it's based, what is a noun, what is an adjective, and things like that. So we just speak, and that's it. We just speak, and they teach us how to speak practically. That's why for us, try to good it was closed. That's why for us it's impossible really to learn, very difficult to learn foreign language, because first we have to learn what is grammar. And only then, without the grammar, try to understand what is foreign language is. Although for you Russian guys, you learn Russian grammar for 10 years at school. Of course it's easy for you, which they don't understand. How you can learn your own language for so long? Are you stupid? You speak this language since you were born, basically, but you still have to learn until you are 17. But that makes it possible for you to learn English and other languages, but it's not possible for us. We have first to learn the grammar language, and only then try to think what our language will be. So that, I'm sorry, I forgot when I have to stop.
5 minutes later.
I still have 5 minutes? Okay, questions please. Yes?
And hobbies.
Oh, I think I've spoken about 4 hours about my profession in Russian and Muslim. Hobbies, my profession is also my hobby because it's very broad, but also I do a lot of sports, and I play football in a local Bristol amateur club which is called Hill Farm Casuals, which is supposed to be above 30, but we cheat a little bit, we take some younger guys as well. Last time we lost 11-1, proudly still. Well, we're second last from the bottom, but I still enjoy it quite a lot because it's great fun. A lot of people in England play football, real big pitch, real pitch, and 45 minutes each time, so it's kind of a lot of physical effort. We have a uniform, we have a very fat goalkeeper, so it's really fun to see kind of this aging man trying to get the ball. We all go to drink beer afterwards, so it's also part of social. What else? Like normal fun, which what other people do. Like I like spending time with my friends in pubs. I like going to pubs, see other people, talk to other people. I like going to concerts. I like traveling. Yeah, I probably travel throughout. I like wild traveling. Like for example, going through the places I've never seen, or just kind of stopping in town, which I don't know anybody, and then kind of trying to establish any kind of links, trying to find a place to sleep, trying to find generally kind of ways out if it's I constantly confuse hitchhiking, not hijacking. Hijacking is a bad thing. Hitchhiking, yeah. So when you kind of in Scotland, especially when people are more open, you can meet a tractor driver who will just get you in with his tractor and will tell you all the history of Scotland while showing, for example, beautiful countryside. Cycling, obviously, of course. Most of the people in big towns in England do not drive. They cycle. Because bicycle is the fastest way to get around London, for example. It's faster than by the ground, it's faster than by car by far. There are plenty of specially dedicated routes for bicycles where no cars can go. And it's like in the peak hours in the morning, there's a traffic jam made by bicycles, for example. And one time I even saw the mayor of London, Boris Johnson, on his bike going to work. And I even started to respect him a little bit, even though he's a conservative. I was like standing on the traffic lights, and I see this strange guy crossing my way. I saw him somewhere.
Without bodyguards?
No, without bodyguards. I was really, really surprised. Well, probably there was some around disguised. But he was like really sweating. He's not a particularly fit person. He's very good. But trying hard and going nowhere. So, yeah, because he's propagating bicycling in London a lot. He introduced a scheme where you can rent a bike. You don't need to have one. You can just put your car first half an hour for free, and then you pay like £1 per hour or something. And there are plenty of this kind of talks all around London. So if you don't have your own bike, you can take one, go to where you want to go, leave it there, one. So yeah, cycling, a lot of people do, and I'm one of them. Yes?
Could you tell me please about fashionable or actual things in British? For example, I want to be a modern girl, a modern British girl. What should I do? What should I read? What should I read, listen, wear?
Wow.
About the men.
And guys as well? You probably would go as an okay Londoner, the way you look, and the way you know you're dressed in football, for instance. Well, if you want to look kind of cool, that's a paradox of English life. You don't have to show it. So if the coolest people usually kind of consider the coolest areas in London, the grooviest one, the hipsters' paradise, for instance, where I live. Accidentally, I happen to live there. It's called Charity Shop Chic. In England, there is a chain of absolutely wonderful second-hand shops where people buy clothes. It's called charity shop, but it's not second-hand. It's usually the clothes where somebody bought it, put it on, no, doesn't work. Charity shop. So it's never all the things that were never worn, and they cost nothing. They cost like £3, for example, an item, or a pair of trousers can cost like £5. Or super brands, Versace, I'm not particularly aware, but very cool brands. But some of them are not cool. Some of them are kind of old style brand. I don't know where they produced from all time. So this kind of groove, cool style is this charity shop shape, it's called. So people go buy this absolutely relatively awful second-hand, outdated clothes, which is not fashionable, and make their own designs, make their own costumes out of different non-fashionable elements and wear them. So that's kind of cool London thing, cool English thing. An Italian style of dressing is nowhere to be seen in London. It's absolute high heels, perfect everything, it's expensive, bright, no way. It has to be modest, English modesty. It should not be screaming. And it should not show how rich you are, for example, how poor you are. It's not absolutely not cool to show. Very interesting difference. In Russia, a lot of people, when they get rich, they start wearing gold. Chains, shiny shoes, things like that. In England, only very poor people do it. Extremely poor, usually unemployed, or like low unqualified builders, for instance. There are people who are doing renovation, who are doing a remont in this building in England would be wearing these gold chains. So when Russian business people of the first wave came to England, they realized why English middle class people don't talk to us? Why don't they don't do that? Well, because you look like a kind of unemployed criminal. So, in England, this kind of attitude that the way you look should not be screaming in any way. So, but still, you can. It's very good. There's no styles, for example. it's perfectly acceptable if you have like a green Mohican years to work in a band. My first ever visa I got from the British Embassy was given to me by a fan of the band Napalm Death, in a t-shirt, full of tattoos, long hair, I could pretty much expect from this guy that he is a regular visitor to local drinking installments as well. So, but the style is, yes, kind of a bit down-tuned. It should not be kind of wow.
Are the British political minded? Are the British politically minded?
Yes, but they're much calmer than us. They are minded, but they will never try to get their point across if somebody else's point is not like theirs. It's perfectly, well, in Russia it's also okay, but very often you see people kind of aggressively political. If they don't like somebody, they will try to destroy you, logically at least, or they will try to prove to you that they are right. In England, no. Your point is your point, my point is my point. It doesn't prevent us from having a time together still. They are very, very aware of British politics, obviously, especially now where there is a kind of economic crisis and a lot of people blame conservative governments for that. With a lot of scandals and people do take notice of what is going on in the Whitehall. Yes, so they are. They're not really interested in world politics, more than Americans, but not as much, and they have their own views, they're not, well, what is said here, because I'm constantly discussing what do the British people think about Russia, do they hate us? Obviously not. There is a media which says certain things about Russia, for example, but most of the people don't trust media. So they have their own opinion, which is mostly comprised of Russian literature and actually, you'll be surprised, collaboration of Russian and English armies during the Second World War. So they remember it, they know that we were allies, and that actually there were only on rare occasions where England and Russia were at war with each other. So, and they do remember Crimea, not as, mostly they do not refer it as according to the latest events, but they do remember the Battle of Balaclava, where a Russian army wiped off a third of English aristocracy, so to say. It was the biggest defeat of the English army, and they remember the monument, the Battle of Balaclava, a very sad angel, and a lot of Russian cameras around, kind of showing yeah. So, but they do remember it, but there's absolutely no kind of attitude or any negative attitude from the normal people towards Russia or me as Russian. I never experienced it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.